Hi, good morning. My name is Aisha Spradley, Professional Learning and Instruction Coordinator for PSAYDN, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's session, Lights On Afterschool, Amplifying Our Movement. So now we'd like to share a couple videos that we hope will inspire and encourage you to continue this very important work.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis here. I need not remind this crowd, but it's truly incredible to hear from young people advocating for out-of-school time programming. Out-of-school time programs provide so much to our communities by removing obstacles in the lives of young people, providing youth with an opportunity for experiential learning, supporting families by caring for children during those in-between hours when their parents are still working. I know firsthand how important these programs are for Pennsylvania kids because I was a club kid in McKeesport. And we know that in Pennsylvania, there are hundreds of thousands of kids who would participate in these programs if one was available to them. That's why the Shapiro-Davis budget proposes a first-of-its-kind $11.5 million investment in out-of-school time programs to support kids and families and keep our communities safe. Investing in young people across the Commonwealth is not only the smart investment, it's a just investment. I appreciate the advocacy and voice of all the young people who came to the Capitol on June 5th. The children are our future, and hearing their voices advocate for what is important to them fills me with hope. Now, let's work.
At PDE, we believe all students, regardless of where they live, what their background is, or where they're going, deserve a world-class education. After-school programs and organizations like the Pennsylvania statewide After-School Youth Development Network are critically important for extending learning opportunities for students once the school day has ended. For so many families, these programs are also the reason they can work toward a higher quality of life.
There's sometimes students who may not excel in the classroom. When they get into an after-school program, which is much more hands-on learning, those children really excel, and it's a different way exposing them to a different type of education. And that's why I'm such a supporter of after-school programs. So thank you, and let's keep working together to ensure that these vital programs continue for the next 20 years.
The after school has come from a long way of do your homework, jump rope, and play kickball. You might ask, what is the difference in after school versus the regular school day? In after school, there is time for a relationship to be built with the educator. That goes a long way. So after school programs can be that trampoline for a student that's not sure where they fit in their regular classroom or the regular day of school. The after school program will support you. We'll build that relationship to find out what matters to you and how we can help you get to where you want to be.
At their most basic level, they provide structure for students after the school day ends, but the best programs enhance and expand on what our kids are learning at school, giving them social skills, homework help, sports and exercise, music, art, theater, and so much more. They also keep kids safe during those critical hours from 3 to 6 p.m. That's why investing in out-of-school time programs is a top priority for the Shapiro-Davis administration. No matter what they look like or what zip code they live in, every Pennsylvania kid deserves the freedom to be safe and feel safe in their communities. And as parents should have the peace of mind of knowing their kids are safe while they're working hard to provide for their families. When kids and parents don't have that safety and security, that basic need for safety and security, we can't thrive as a Commonwealth.
All right, I hope you enjoyed those videos. You can find them on the PSAYDN website as well. Moving along, I'd like to introduce you to today's speaker, Laura Saccente. Laura is the Assistant Director for the Center of Schools and Communities, where she oversees youth development, after school, family support, and the SWAN Helpline initiatives. She brings deep expertise in educational policy, advocacy, strategic communications, and youth programming. Before this role, Laura was the Director of PSAYDN, and she also worked in governmental relations and with the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. She holds a degree in speech communications and political science, and she serves on multiple boards and councils supporting youth and families across Pennsylvania. We're thrilled to have her here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Laura.
Thank you so much, Aisha. I appreciate it. So today I get the opportunity to share what Lights On After School really means, and just to really help you think about being intentional this year for hosting your own event and thinking about how you can get others engaged. Before we get started in the slide deck, I would like to know how many of you have ever hosted a Lights On event before. So if you could put in the chat either yes or no, whether you've hosted a Lights On event. Okay, so far we've had a lot of yeses. We have a few no's. So we have no, just with our district. Okay. And it looks like we have a yes. We have some that have been doing it for some time. Okay. So we have a variety of organizations on today. But if you aren't as familiar, this Lights On is the nation's celebration of after-school programs. So every year, there's like over 1 million Americans that come together. Each year it grows. We're at least 8,000 events nationwide. And so this year, that date is going to be held on October 23rd. I've had the privilege of attending Lights On events across the state. I've also worked with elected officials to light up properties in the Harrisburg region, including the Capitol building, to commemorate the event. Next slide, please, Michael. So this is not just about holding an event, it's just really about shining a light on this day and to make your young people at the center of the attention. You can showcase their voices and just let communities know how powerful after-school programs are in shaping lives. So as you listen today on some of these strategies, I just want you to reflect for this year, what does shining your light look like in your program for your community? So why is this a big deal? And you may be asking, why should I or my organization participate? This is more than just checking off a box. There's a real beauty in how it impacts after school at both your location, at your program level, and building awareness at your work and for your brand. But the power of this event is that it shows it collectively across the state and across the country with so many different events. So it gives you the opportunity at that local level to share with families, partners, and funders the best of your program. It educates those that may not be aware about what your program does, but then it really shows the overall impact of after school when so many organizations come together to participate. So what does it look like? So Lights On events don't come in one size, and they really reflect the flavor of each community. I've been at rallies, open houses, STEM activities, talent shows. There's no wrong way to do it. You can see that each event, whether it's hosted on a large scale or a small scale, is special in its own way. So I do want to stop here for a moment because I'm very interested in hearing those who said yes about hosting an event in the past. What type of event did you have? Could you place your type of event in the chat? Okay, so we've had some open houses, a student showcase, some STEM related events, family engagement. Oh, meet and meal for families. That's a great idea. Any others that you can think of? Award ceremonies, highlight community leaders. Oh, that's great. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit. Great. These are all great ideas, and I hope you're gathering some of these if you're not sure what you want to do yet for this year. Light up a local landmark. Yes. So how to participate? How do you actually like set this up? Because it could seem a bit overwhelming if you have not done it before in the past. But the beauty about all of this is that there's a very detailed playbook and the steps are very straightforward. And what I try to do in this slideshow is give you a one-stop shop of QR codes of exactly where you can go to get those playbooks and toolkits. The first thing you would want to do, if you have not already done this before, is you just want to register for your event. This gets you on the scale, gets you recognized at that national level, and gets you some extra supports through the After School Alliance, who helps run this entire event. So do make sure you register. It is a little bit of competition, I would say, among states of who has the most events, and Pennsylvania has generally come out in the top 10 in the country. So we do have a little competition in there. Like I mentioned, you want to start to think about what type of event you want to have. And then you want to think about marketing your event and engaging policymakers. So we're going to go through each of these steps for you. And just remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so many templates and ideas out there. It's just a matter of just deciding what you want to do. So think about it like you're hosting a fun party, and don't go about it alone. So get your team together. This could be staff. These could be your board members. Think about some volunteers and think about how your students can engage. So most of these events, even though there is this one day, October 23rd, I would say that across the state, events usually take place either on a day or at least like a week or so from the 23rd. So you don't have to necessarily have it on that exact date. There is a QR code in here that provides a detailed planning kit, so you don't have to stress. And remember, you can make it as simple as possible. You can do a more of a like an acknowledgement or a full-scale event. But you know, just planning something around this time, no matter how small or large, it really just allows your organization, your voice to be amplified to a larger scale because of that national connection. So even if you're hosting a smaller event, it's really still important to get your awareness and market it to the right audiences. So this is a great time to get your students involved, I would say. So each year, for example, the Alliance does a Lights On poster contest, and I think I have a photo of it in this slide deck. So you may want to challenge your own youth to a type of marketing challenge. You can create that marketing material. You could also do an invitation campaign using the light bulb challenge, where there's photos of your staff and students with light bulbs. So marketing this event really helps not only get the word out, but it just brings that additional awareness and attention that the community needs that you're serving. So I'm going to talk a little bit more detail about engaging policymakers, because I don't want this to, I really want to spotlight this because I think this is a perfect opportunity to build those relationships. Because understandably, policymakers can sometimes feel distant, but they really control funding and policies that really shape our work. And they can have a large say in funding and support for programs. So really think about this as an opportunity to invite them. Think about, they love photo opportunities. So this is a great way to get your program in their own social media platforms and newsletters, especially if you allow for some photo opportunities. And then once you invite them and share with them your story, then they are able to take that story on to their colleagues and share it with other legislators. I have seen that so many ways, whether through speaking events or even on the chamber floor. So this does happen. So understand the impact of having those legislators be present at your event. Some of you may already have a relationship with your policymaker. And so, you may be done this thing for a while. I would say if you haven't taken then that next step, if you're a veteran in Lights On and with legislators, think about how to have them as a helper for your event. Maybe they would read a proclamation or a story. Maybe they would hand out awards. But please just understand that legislator might have like 2 or 3 engagements that evening. So just make sure your ask is specific and concise and just keep to the time that you gave to them. Don't be disappointed if they have to leave, but just set up their time so they see like the priority of the showcase that you want to share with them. Make this not just another meeting for them, but a lasting memory that they don't want to miss at any year. So policymakers do have a lot of tough meetings in a day. Make this one that they really enjoy going to. And remember, if you have asks, and we all have asks, such as like resources, funding, building, staff support, try to make this night more about the relationship and not so much the ask. That can come in a follow-up meeting. So how do we bring legislators in? Well, first off, the relationship is the key. You don't necessarily have to have the relationship with the legislator. You might have a board member or another staff member that could talk to that individual. And sometimes that ask goes more than just an email or phone call. But at the same time, it's perfectly fine to send an email or phone to staff to get on the schedule. And the earlier, the better as schedules fill up, especially that you're getting close to election time, which is in November. And second, remember that staff and schedulers are the gatekeepers. These are your important advocates, and a lot of us make this mistake that sometimes we brush over legislative staff when they're in a room, but these are most important to your elected officials in being able to work on building a strong message. So they're the ones that are going to be settling the scheduling, writing policy, drafting legislation, and they could receive an invite and possibly be approved to attend. And so most importantly, just make this about the kids. Invite legislators to see the students in action. And that experience is going to resonate much more than any policy brief. And even this slideshow does provide a link to some useful policy briefs, but these are best to use following up after the event. The encounters that you'll have with policymakers and your team become memories, which become those personal stories that are shared that are actually more powerful than a statistic. And in the chat, I'm really interested now that we're in this legislator conversation, just to hear from you. Do you have a relationship with at least one elected official in your area that you would feel comfortable inviting to your event? Please write yes or not yet. Not yet this year, work in progress. Okay, possibly. So you know why I said not yet, because this is something that I hope you can share with each other on how you establish those relationships, because that's important. We have some in the audience that have those relationships, so it's really helpful to get those best practices on how you've been able to do that. And as you're commenting, just look at this opportunity not as a final invite to an elected official, but only the beginning of the relationship. This actually is your introduction. This sets a pathway for the relationship. So you're only going to be focusing on the fun of the event. And then the real relationship begins after the event when you can follow up. You want to follow up with a personalized thank you. You may even want to have your students write something. And you give the policymaker an opportunity to ask questions. You can provide a fact sheet, and you just think of yourself as a community resource for that individual. You will then quickly become on their Rolodex of trusted people in their circle by keeping them updated on your work and inviting them over periods of when you have different events or activities. It becomes not just a one-way conversation, but a two-way. And many of our after-school providers have those trusted relationships, which is vital. So along with legislators, media is another powerful tool and partner for this event. So you just don't want to plan an event. You want to make sure your story is getting told. So you want to build your local media list. You send out a media advisory, especially if you want others to come in. You want to make that story appealing, showcase any photos, youth projects, and share. My suggestion is share photos throughout the night. Set up some designated volunteers or students or people to help share what's happening throughout the night or immediately after the event. And so don't forget, as I mentioned about social media, find your hashtags. You can post updates and tag those officials. There is in this QR code a full social media toolkit that you can just grab and go with a lot of great sentences, so you don't have to think a lot about it. And if you know legislators who are attending, I would suggest beforehand looking on their social media pages, finding out where you can tag them. And so you can tag them immediately with your photos, and this will increase your probability of your event reaching a larger audience, as those could be shared by them. And here, I talked a lot about additional resources today, but there's so much at your fingertips beyond the toolkit. So some things the After School Alliance does is actually have databases with examples from across the country. If you're still scratching your head about thinking about what you want to do, you can look at templates of examples. There's step-by-step instructions on engaging policymakers. I just touched the surface here for some of those ideas. And then there is the thing called the light bulb challenge, which I mentioned briefly. That's something that if you're interested in, there's a lot of resources through the After School Alliance that makes that a very easy challenge to be a part of. These are all plug and play supports. You can use as little or as much as you want. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to create anything from scratch. You just adapt the resources to your particular event. And finally, this is a celebration. It sounds like it's a lot of work, but it's really a good opportunity just to sit back and recognize the incredible work that you do, the resilience of your families, the brilliance of the people and the students that you serve, because every event is a declaration that after school matters. So in the midst of planning, take time to celebrate yourself and the work that you do. I'd love, and please, as we wrap up this presentation, love to hear any questions that you have, but we may have a few minutes. I'd love if either you can put it in your chat, or if you open up your mic and want to share any success stories that you've had or any learning moments that you've had in hosting the events that you feel might be worthwhile to share with others. Love to hear them. I'll give you a few minutes to think about that. Do we have any questions? I know that there's some individuals who have been hosting these for a while. Do you have any advice for the newcomers this year that I didn't get a chance to share? Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about all of your events in the media and in the follow-up, and hopefully through PSAYDN and sharing out some things on social media. So I'm just appreciative that you're committed to shining your light this year, and just looking forward to hearing all the fun activities. And I do think the PSAYDN team, in addition, has some information to share that might be helpful for you as you think about your event. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to the PSAYDN team. But thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing those valuable strategies on how we can amplify our movement and make the most out of Lights On After School. Rachel placed a few links into the chat. The first was a plug and play, as Laura described, on how to make a media calendar announcement. The second was how to craft a script for a newsletter article to connect with the community. And then the third was for the actual light bulb challenge. And light bulb challenge is awesome because if you can't host an actual event, you can still engage virtually and still be a part of the movement. Karen from APOST, if you want to make an announcement, I want to open the floor to you.
Great. Thanks, Aisha. So this is great, Laura. Thanks for your presentation. It's getting me excited about the end of October and getting ready to welcome our families and community members to Lights On After School events. I just wanted to make sure that any participants in this webinar who are from Allegheny County know that APOST has a mini grant opportunity where organizations can apply for a small grant of $500 to carry out a Lights On After School event. And we've seen organizations use this for food, special activities, bringing a bounce house, but something that is special that organizations can't do maybe within their regular budget, but that allows others who come in and see, oh, this is what's happening. I remember last year, one of our out of school time programs that received a grant mentioned how he really saw the connections that parents understood better after getting a tour of the program. They understood more of what was happening there. And so these events are so powerful for that. You do need to apply pretty quickly. It's on the APOST website, and the deadline is next Tuesday, September 23 at 5 p.m. And so there's a link. We'll put a link in the chat for that, and would love to have any Allegheny County organizations apply for that. So thanks, Aisha.
I also want to share that PSAYDN is having a really exciting opportunity that will be available soon. This year, PSAYDN is launching a new initiative to expand youth entrepreneurship across Pennsylvania in partnership with the Venture Lab. 10 out-of-school time programs will be selected to receive a $1,000 mini grant along with technical assistance and professional development to bring the Spark Mentorship and Materials program to life. This effort is focused on supporting the creation of an even stronger ecosystem of career-connected learning for our youth. The application will open on October 1st, so keep an eye out for a special alert, and it will also be in the Youth Digest and on our website. We hope you will consider applying for this and help inspire the next generation of young entrepreneurs. That concludes our session for today. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. I'd like to thank Laura for taking the time to share this important information and APOST for making that wonderful announcement. Please register for our next session on October 16th, which will be Building Local Champions. Rachel's going to put a link to that in the chat. And last but not least, please take a moment to complete the evaluation survey that has also been posted in the chat box. And that concludes our session, and thank you so much for coming.